Hey guys, welcome back to the Branded by God podcast. I am your host, Brittany N. Smith, and you might be wondering why I'm talking smooth like this, like you're listening to the radio. Because today's episode, we're talking about your VOICE, your voice. We're talking about your voice and how you've been too quiet for too long because you have something to say and the whole world needs to hear it, and it's time for you to start using your voice. Yes, I am talking like this on purpose because it's time for you to come out and start talking to the people. So that's what we're talking about today, guys. We're going to get into it in just a moment. Okay, guys, so as you can see, I am hyped today because this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. Having been podcasting for the last couple years now, I wasn't always in love with my voice. I mean, I'm still not like in love with it, but I do finally embrace the power that I carry with and through my voice. So I'm saying all this to say, if you're listening to this episode right now, I'm going to just hit you with the punchline now. It's time for you to start the podcast. It's time for you to start speaking. It's time for you to get on stages. You've been hearing it for a long time. You've been feeling it for a long time, and you've been denying it for a long time. And I know as a singer even, that it's not about whether or not you love your voice, but it's about what we talked about in the last episode, alignment with what God is calling you to do. Okay. Your life is not your own. To him you belong. We give ourselves to him. That means your voice also. Okay. Not just your life, but your voice also. And so I want to encourage us as we are talking about being branded by God. A part of your brand identity is your voice, both written and spoken. You're probably the one that your friends and family come to when they need something, when they need advice, when they need a word of encouragement, when they need prayer. I propose that it's not just your way with words, but it's literally your voice that is a part of what makes them feel they need to be in your presence. It is the voice of God that draws us into his presence so that we can be changed, we can be transformed, we can be made new. There's power in voice. When God created the heavens and the earth, he used what? His voice. He said, let there. He spoke and said, let there be. And so I want to challenge you today that your life probably doesn't look the way that you desire for it to look like because you haven't been using your voice in prayer, in conversation where you need to advocate for yourself, in consultation calls with potential clients. We've been showing up in this meek and mild kind of, I don't know, maybe, well, what do you think? I guess? Nah, sis. Know what you want, say what you want, speak a thing so that it can be established in the earth. Okay? So, that's the first thing, that this whole thing is about you using your voice. I remember really hiding behind other people, now granted, I was that kid that loved reading out loud in class and all those kinds of things, but not because I liked my voice. I put out a music project now it's been like a good 10 years ago. I put out a music project, and even listening to that now is like, but I finally got to the place where I'm like, oh, my voice is decent. I I like this one. I finally got to the place where I can like my own music. But it wasn't because the words were not good. I was judging myself. Like, I was just ick about myself. Like, ew, why do I sound like that? And so what that correlates to is our self-love and how mine was out of whack for a really long time. I didn't see myself as a singer. I didn't see myself as an artist. I didn't see myself as a good singing voice. Now, everybody said otherwise, but it was how I saw myself. And so I kept myself small. I kept myself from recording or ever putting out any more music in 10 years. Now, mind you, I have a whole album that is record ready. It's ready to go. But I haven't been in the studio because of how I felt about my own voice. I took a break from podcasting, y'all. I did this whole big thing, celebrated. Oh, we did 100 episodes. Yes. And then after that, I fell off. Like, why? Because God was calling me, leading me to switch over to a solo format. And I had an issue with the sound of my own voice. And so I prolonged the inevitable. But. God is faithful, and he is gentle, and he is forgiving, and he's merciful. And so even though I took up all that time, here I am again doing what? Solo episodes. Because he might allow you to delay yourself, but he's not going to allow you off the hook from what he told you to do. And so you're listening to this episode now because there's something you're supposed to be doing with your voice. The other thing I want to bring out about our voices is that it gives life. Our voices give life. Your voice gives life. It gives life to your children. It gives life to your husband and his dreams. It gives life to the sisters in your life group. It gives life to the students in your classroom. Your voice gives life. And that is why the enemy roams about like a roaring lion seeking who he can steal, kill, and destroy. That's why it's been hard to pray. That's why sometimes it's hard to find the words to say when you're trying to be encouraging or you need to encourage yourself. That's why we just go inside ourselves and we allow the enemy to silence us because there's power in our voice. There's power when you pray out loud. One of the things that I dealt with growing up is feeling like I was too much. People would, in their own way, shut me down. Oh, you're too loud. You're too this. It doesn't take all that. Quiet down some. And so those things began to internalize in me, or I began to internalize them rather. And that was the start. It was the start of me silencing and censoring myself. Many women silence themselves because they don't want to be seen as too much. They don't want to be seen as too emotional. They don't want to be seen as fill in the blank. They don't want to be judged by someone else. Who does she think she is? She always got to answer for something. Yeah, I do. That's why I'm here, because you need my answers. You're just mad about it. But we allow ourselves to be censored. And meanwhile, the problems are not being solved. You have the solution in your head, but you won't say it because you're afraid to be put out there. You're afraid that they're going to say, oh, wow, she has great ideas. Let's promote her. Maybe you're afraid of that side of the success or that side of the coin. Either way, you got to speak up. It's time. And you will not have what you desire without using your voice. When's the last time you talked out your vision? When's the last time you shared a dream with someone? When's the last time you just poured out love on another sister or brother using your voice? Why would God give us voices if we weren't meant to use them? Think about it. Literally, he created the heavens and the earth with his voice. Literally, he speaks to us through his voice, his rhema word, right? So why wouldn't it be such that we would operate the same way? When we want to see things created and brought to life, we have to use our voices. So you have to start the podcast. If 3 people listen, it's necessary, because those 3 people may go on to change 300 people's lives. It's not for us to know, but it is for us to go and to say. I'm going to give you 3 signs that you are dialing it back and silencing or censoring yourself. 1, when you show up in client calls or you're talking to a client and you don't tell them about all the things that you can do. You wait for them to ask, but you don't tell them about all the things you can do or how you can fully serve them. You don't promote that I have all these things going on. You're silencing yourself because you don't want to be seen as arrogant, whatever. They're in front of you because they have issues that need solving. And let me let you in on a little secret. Most of the clients that you're going to deal with, most of the people that you're going to serve, they don't know what they need for real. Many times a client will come into a session because they think they need this. But as the expert, you recognize, oh, boo-boo, you need this. You need all of this. You need all of this, right? But if you don't speak up, you'll just handle this and get paid for this when you could have walked into a contract to be doing all of this. Silencing yourself. Another sign that you silence yourself, you see you're moving in these groups on Facebook or these different conversations, different spaces, networking spaces, and there's a conversation going on and you have input. I do this all the time, so I'm not coming at you. You have input. You have a good point to make, but you don't. You just let the conversation happen. Because who am I? Who am I? Who am I to put my 2 cents in? Who am I to disagree with the main thought that's taking place? Who am I to comment? You were sent in that moment to contribute. If it is something that is, controversial or it's an argument, we don't do that, boo-boo. But if it's an opportunity to add value, add the value, sis. Just sprinkle it on there. Sprinkle it. Somebody needs to hear what you have to say. All right? And, this is a good one. This is a good one. You are silencing yourself or censoring yourself when you keep saying things like, I'm still figuring it out. Yeah, I'm still working it out. Still working out the details. Yeah, I'm still in the planning mode. Still coming up with, gotta tighten it up a little bit. Gotta make some tweaks. Remember that last episode we was talking about where we like spinning in the closet because you just don't want to do the thing. So you just keep saying stuff to make it sound like you're busy when you're really just procrastinating. You come up with these responses to get people off your back. Ask me how I know. Yeah. So I want you to consider all of this. In what way has God been calling you to use your voice in this season? Has he been tapping you to pray with a friend or friends? Has he been prompting you to start the podcast? Has he been prompting you to go live on your social pages? What is God leading you to do when it comes to using your voice? Start the podcast. Record the video. Have the conversation. Make the phone call. Start the prayer group. Send the voice note. What's the worst that can happen? I promise you somebody's going to be blessed. So what if 30,000 people don't give it a like or 19 people don't show up on a live? Will you leave the 99 for the one? Will you leave your comfort zone for the one? Will you put yourself aside and use your voice for the one? I'm doing it for you. And not because I know who you are, but it's because this is necessary in the call that God has given me. This is what he's led me to do. And this is a tool, this is a part of the bigger vision. And I can't expect to do TED Talks and speak at conferences around the world and record audiobooks and all those things if I'm not even willing to do a podcast episode. I don't know. That's just, hey. So definitely get started. I told you we're doing a Creators Masterclass series, and this month's series installment is the podcast producer. So if you know, you know. If you need to get started with the podcast, but you're not quite sure where to start, you need to get in on this workshop. And listen, if you missed it, you can get the replay. I promise you starting the podcast is not as hard as you've made it in your head. I promise you. I promise you. Yep. I promise you. All you need is Zoom and Canva and a platform to post your podcast on. Like legit, like that's how I started. Now, granted, I have the microphone now and whatever. I have a team and all of that, but that's not where I started. You have to start, boo. You got to start. So I love you with the love of the Lord, and I will see you next time on the Branded by God podcast. Bye.